And I think you're going to also mention the relationship between the Old Testament, locusts and honey, and the New Testament, and the relevance of this whole diet and example of John the Baptist for us today.
So locusts in the Bible often associated with destruction and judgment, as seen in the book of Joel, where locust plague resembled horses in a powerful army representing God's judgment. So when we look at Joel 2 and 25, like I said, when locust is mentioned, it's talking about destruction and judgment. So I've heard this verse used a lot, usually when it comes to offerings. But if you really look at it, God is saying, and I'm going to read it, I will restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten, the cankerworms and the caterpillars and the palmerworms, my great army which I sent among you. So the first thing I see was the end where it says, my great army that I sent among you. That is God's judgment. So that destruction, what happened with these locusts, was something that God allowed to happen. But it's saying that it can be restored. So even when there's destruction and God tears something down, he can be the one that restores it. And that shows you both meanings of the locust, meaning that he sent it and he's the one that can restore.
Yeah, I see here, Katrina, in the very next verse, and it says, you shall eat in plenty and be satisfied and praise the name of the Lord. So as you said, it's a negative that leads to a positive.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. It is a negative that leads to a positive. And like I said, that one thing that stuck out to me reading this was he sent it. God sent it.
Right.
I know a lot of people think that the only things that happen that are good are from God, but that's not true.
That's correct. Yeah. Well, sometimes God has to raise our level of thinking so that we begin to realize the real causes of our problems. And
Yes.
in order to raise our level of thinking or get our thinking deeper, sometimes God has to allow bad things. That's the whole point of trials. And here it's a trial by locusts.
And anybody that's a farmer knows that locusts can destroy things very quickly. I have some tomatoes right now where it's a type of locust. Those things come so quickly overnight, but they will eat up a tomato plant very quickly. And you have to get control of it or it would destroy it. So I love how God uses agricultural symbolism all throughout the Bible to give us a better understanding of himself. But that's where it all starts in the beginning, of course. Now, looking at honey, it symbolizes the sweetness of God's blessing and promises for those who repent and believe. This is often described when it talked about the promised land in Exodus 3 and 8. Now we're going to go to Proverbs 24, 13 and 14. It says, likened to the sweetness of wisdom. So right there where it talks about godly wisdom or haham, we can click that and see the meaning of that in Hebrew so we can get a deeper understanding. Wisdom in a good sense, skillful wisdom, wisely wit. One thing that I learned first when I was learning about God and his truth, there's different kinds of wisdom, which is very important to note, especially when you're reading Genesis, is a godly wisdom. You really understand at this point or have an understanding of things from God's point of view. And when you do that, you apply that understanding to your life. And that helps things to really go a little bit more smoother.
Uncover the mystery of Adam and Eve's nakedness. Unravel the ambiguous connection between the Hebrew term for naked and the serpent's subtlety. Join us for this free mini-course and gain a profound new perspective on biblical Hebrew. TheExplanation.com/naked